All right, everyone. Welcome. Come on in. Hope you're doing well. We're just getting this thing kicked off. Bear with me as we get everyone here in the room. Nice to see some of your faces. Alison, William, Carsten. Nice to see you, man. Howard. Nice to see you. Shayra, hope I've said that right. Nice to see you, Charlie, Michelle, Enda, James, Lania. Awesome. Good stuff. Welcome. Sorry, we were a few minutes late starting. We had a couple of tech issues. Let me just check that my partner in crime is on the line. Give me just 1 second here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and make him co-host. Hey, Ryan, do you want to just pop out and unmute yourself and let's just check that that's all working smooth? Perhaps not. All right, let's try that again. Ryan, if you're there, come on out with your camera and unmute yourself, and then we'll see if this is working smooth.
Yeah, let's see. All right, can you guys see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, gotcha. Fantastic. Give us a wave real quick if you can hear Ryan and myself.
Okay, I think I'm not sure if the audio is coming out of the right place, but hopefully you guys can hear me all the same.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Awesome. Well, guys, let's dive in. Again, apologies for being a few minutes late. We're having some techie issues and we're excited for this. Really excited. You know, the only people invited onto this particular call are those of you in our Funneler community. And as I mentioned, during our beta launch and during the webinars and the videos that may have led you here, we're very bullish and we're putting a lot of emphasis on a couple of different things and namely support, which I think many of you have had interactions with our support already, and you've seen how much emphasis we're putting on that. But the second is stability. You know, we want to make sure that we are allowing you guys to build your businesses and thrive on a platform that is stable and working for you. And if things are not as they should be, because we are a beta platform at the moment, we've got our business on here. We're rocking and rolling with all of the features over here at AdClients, but you're going to spot things and we want to work through those quickly. We're also implementing new features all the time. We're implementing bug fixes. We're implementing suggestions that you've made, and we're also implementing some bigger things behind the scenes that we're just working on that you haven't thought to ask for, but that we're creating. And off the back of that, we decided that we want to make this truly a community, as opposed to you're on a software platform, you can't get a hold of the founders, you never really get answers to your questions, you never really understand what's going on behind the scenes, and we want to be transparent and we want to share this stuff with you. And so we're going to do this, what we're calling state of the platform address. We're going to do this once a month, and every month we'll come together and we'll share with you what has happened that we've been working on over the past few weeks. What did we get ticked off? What are we now working on? What feature requests have you requested that we have now implemented? And what's the path moving forward to the next month's state of the platform address, so that you can stay clued up every month as to what is going on the Funneler platform. It's been amazing and super exciting for us to get all the great feedback. I see you, particularly Howard Cooper. I saw your message the other day, just friggin' loving the system in every way, and we appreciate that feedback. And I know many of you have said the same thing, and it's music to our ears. We're super excited. You know, when we launched this software, we knew that we needed to position it as a beta software because we want to do that. We want to be sensible. But many of you have not had issue with anything, and your business is just running smooth already, and that is incredibly exciting for us. And for those of you that have had some kinks in the road, you know that we're working very closely with you, and something that we're very passionate about. Couple of extra things I want to let you know about before I pretty much hand this over to Ryan, because as you know, Ryan is the man behind the scenes. He's the one that makes the magic happen, and he's got some updates to share with you that I'm not even sure what he's going to be sharing, because we haven't even had time to go over some of our notes, because Ryan's just working flat out on making this system the best it can be. But I want to share a couple of things with you. And firstly, just as a way of an update, but secondly, I want you to truly know how serious we take it that you are on a platform that you love, that you enjoy, and that is going well for you. Our original plan was obviously we launched, I can't even remember when it was, 3 months ago, perhaps. And we got you on the system, and then we closed down. We closed enrollment with the intention to perhaps have a reopen around about the time of my conference in London, which was AdCon. Give me a wave if you've come in since AdCon. You're in the last few weeks. Okay, I see a few of you, Steve, Shabab, okay, or Carsten, awesome, great stuff. And then we closed down again. And the original plan was then a couple of weeks later, we would open up as an evergreen platform, meaning anyone can join at any time. It'll be the full price, but we would just be open for enrollment at all times. And we have since changed that plan. We've put performance before profit, and we've decided that we're actually going to keep our doors closed that little bit longer, meaning we're only going to be working with you for the next month or two. We don't want to reopen prematurely, right? We've got about 300 of you on the platform right now. If we wanted to, we could scale this very fast and very aggressively. As you can imagine, I've got a big reach. I'm very good at this marketing stuff, and I could snap my fingers and in a month or two, we could have 1,000 users on the platform. And we want to slow down. We want to make sure that you are all so darn happy with this platform, and that you have the level of support that we promised you, that things are smooth, that things are stable. And so we've decided we're going to double down on that. We don't care about the money for now. We don't need to aggressively scale for now. We want to make sure that you're getting some great stuff. Is that music to anyone's ears? Do you like the sound of that? Yeah? Okay, great. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to be, not opening up for enrollment for about another month. And in this month, we're just going to be working like madmen to make this just even more awesome for you, as I'm sure Ryan's going to be sharing with you. The second thing that I want to pass on to you as a quick housekeeping is we've had a lot of requests already to promote Funneler as an affiliate. And we are interested in having an affiliate program. And it's going to blow your friggin' socks off when you see what we are planning. Just give me a quick thumbs up if you're interested in referring Funneler to anyone else. Okay, I see a bunch of thumbs. Fantastic. We are coming up with the most outrageous affiliate program you've ever seen. The way to make, just ridiculous sums of cash promoting Funneler and making some or earning some crazy prizes along the way. But of course, we're not going to launch that until we are evergreen open, right? Because if we're not open, then there's no point you having an affiliate link to a page that says, hey, coming soon, or hey, you can only join by private invitation. So we're working on that behind the scenes. We've got some amazing ideas for how we can make our affiliate program just ludicrous and more profitable than promoting anything else. And that's going to be coming down the track as well. Just for your peace of mind, many of you have said, John, I just want to link. Let me tell people about this thing. Give us just that little bit longer. Let us work with you. Let's make sure you're all super happy, and then we'll roll this thing out. So without further ado, Ryan, I'm going to pass it over to you in about 60 seconds. And look, guys, I'm excited for this next little bit. This is very informal. This is not necessarily scripted. We just want to get in front of you. We want to share with you what's going on. We want to share with you what's on our mind. We want to give you access to us as the founders. And so Ryan's got a few things he's going to share with you that we've implemented already in the system, and things that are coming up. And by the way, you already know this because there's obviously already a third of our members on the line right now. So you know the importance of being here, because you're going to see a rollout of features that you might not have known has popped into your account, right? There might just be some fixes or some feature requests from someone else, and you don't know where to look. You don't know what's new. So this is a place where you can come and you can get those updates. So without further ado, I'm excited to hear what we've got going on. And Ryan, over to you.
Cool. Well, we've obviously been, for the last couple of months, slammed with the most unbelievable volume of feature requests and ideas and so on. And John was saying that he's really excited when you guys give just awesome feedback and so on. But in addition to that, I'm really excited when I see the ideas that you share, and the way that those are shaping the platform is very profound. We are doing everything we do is basically in response to how you guys are implementing the software and what you're doing and what your ideas are. And I've already sort of spoken to John about it in these terms, but I just want to share this with you. So John, please forgive me for the repetition, but when you create a new piece of software, it's like hewing a canal out of rock. You know, you're going to get the shape right. It's going to have the right start point and the right end point, but there's going to be debris all over the place. The edges are going to be a little bit sharp. And then when you open that up and you let water flow through it over a period of time, that water is going to clear everything out. It's going to, you know, initially it's going to be a little bit turbulent, but the water is going to smooth everything out and is going to take away the rough edges and move out all the debris and so on. And that's kind of the way that I see what we're doing here. We've built the software. We've got the right start point, the right end point. We're achieving all of the right outcomes, but despite the massive investment we have in terms of our internal team spending loads of time on user experience and all of that sort of thing, nothing beats actual customers going through that. And as more and more customers go through that, and as you share your feedback, we're able to use that feedback to smooth out the edges. And as time goes by, it becomes less and less turbulent to put together your funnel. Things just become smoother and easier and more obvious. And that's really what we're going to be focusing on going forward. We're taking all of your feedback, all of your ideas. This, again, this is a time where you can connect directly with the founders. When you ask for a feature, it's not just going to level 1 who may or may not put it up to level 2, and there's a 6-level structure. When you put in a feature request, when you say that something isn't working or you don't understand how something works, I hear all of that personally. I hear every single one of those pieces of feedback. And that is what we use to figure out what we're going to do. So everything that we're doing is in response to that. And so, yes, we really appreciate all the awesome feedback and the celebrations and the cool posts on Facebook. But I also want to just let you know that we really appreciate the ideas and so on that you send our way as well. So today, what I want to take you through is just a little bit of what we've been doing over the past few months in response to your requests. And then I'm also going to talk a bit about what our plan is going forward. One, you know, I would like to have as much time as possible for Q&A. So I'm not going to actually demo the features well enough that you can go away and use them. I'm going to put training, like all of these new features, there'll be training videos that you can follow so that you can figure out how to use them. I just want to talk about the outcomes, the new things we've added, etc., so that you know about them, and then you can go check out the new training videos that are going to be coming over the next few days. So I'm going to share my screen, and just let me know when you can see everything. Can you guys see? Okay. I assume you can only see my screen and you can't see all the Zoom stuff. Just want to confirm. We good? Okay, great.
Yep.
So there, we've done a lot. We really have done a lot. And if I go over here, this is the software that we use to track the things that we've implemented, the various tasks. It's called ClickUp. And like quite a few of you actually mentioned at AdCon that you guys use this software as well. So you probably are familiar with it, but each one of these tasks represents another feature or another update that we've made to the software. And what I've done here is I've just added a filter so that you can see what we've done on the software over the past 2.5 months. And I can scroll here for a very, very long time. And each of these, again, is somebody's feature request, somebody's idea implemented, or even you may have not even sent in a feature request or an idea. You may have just said, this thing sucks. I don't know how to use it. And we've thought through how to improve that and how to make it better. And I could probably scroll here for several minutes and you'll see there's just thing after thing. So the reason I'm showing you this is so that you understand that what I'm going to share with you is my 7 top updates. And that is by no means an exhaustive list. The exhaustive list would take us a month to get through. So I'm just going to go through 7 things that I think are of particular interest. And then we're going to stop at that point and we can do some Q&A. You know, we've added payment gateways and we've added new process flows and just all sorts of things that you've requested. But I'm just going to go through 7 things that I think are particularly cool. So I'm going to launch right into it. Everyone on board? Can I do the first one?
Yeah, and just to jump in just super quickly, I realized I didn't give this particular housekeeping. Just so people can manage their time, we're planning on going about 90 minutes. Okay, so we'll go about 90 minutes from when we started, so about an hour and 10 minutes from right now. And as Ryan mentioned, we will have some time for Q&A at the end. So yeah, just a couple of things there to mention. And if you have to drop off early, we are recording this and we will send out the recording.
Cool. All right, so I'm going to run through this pretty quickly. So the first thing is that loads of people wanted consent checkboxes. So I'm just going to go in here and show you how this works. But basically it was consent. Everybody has a different interpretation of regulation, of what is required, for example, for GDPR or for compliance in different spaces. Loads of people are selling something where somebody has to confirm that they agree to certain terms and conditions, and maybe there are different terms and conditions per product. So we created some functionality rather than just creating the specific checkboxes that people were looking for. We created a consent feature that allows you to add consent to your checkouts, to your registrations, to your opt-ins, basically any entry point, any way that a user is created, they can now give you specific consent. So if I go over here to the users area, and then I go to setup, I can now create consent. So I can say terms and conditions. I mean, as a super simple example, but you could put whatever you want in there. That becomes a new consent checkbox. And then if I go through to the context area, I can see on the right-hand side who has given that consent, when they gave that consent. We store behind the scenes the IP link to that consent, etc. Everything required for compliance is taken care of over there. And if I can just minimize this thing. I'm actually not sure how to minimize the top, top thing. Okay, we're going to have to drag this down a little bit. And I'll take you through to the website. So here, if I add, for example,
sorry to interrupt. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I was going to say that window was a bit small, but it's back to normal now. Perfect.
Yeah, just had to minimize it to get past this this top box over here. There we go. Okay, that actually moved it down. Cool. So I can add, for example, an opt-in form to my page, and I might have to actually refresh the screen, but I can go to consent over here. I can enable consent, and then I can add my consent checkboxes to my opt-in form. And the same thing applies to checkouts and registrations and all sorts of things. And you can create them, you know, you can create as many as you want and include or exclude them depending on what product you're selling. So that's feature number one. John, do you have anything you want to inject there, or should I just move on to the next one?
No, we can keep moving.
Cool. I'm gonna do rapid fire, and then we'll do Q&A at the end with everyone. So the next thing that we've done that is also pretty high in quite high demand is the ability to capture custom information at the point of either a purchase or an opt-in or a registration, so that you can adjust your marketing based on the information that people share with you. This is the first step in the direction of surveys. So we haven't fully implemented surveys yet, but this is the first step in that direction. And the idea here is, let's say you've got, depending on what the person's interested in, you're going to send them down different marketing paths. So maybe if they're interested in coaching, if that's what they want to learn about, you're going to market your coaching products. And if they're interested in generating traffic, then you're going to market your traffic generation products. So you can add all of that information, save that against the contact's profile, and then you can market to them based on that information. So again, you can go to users, you can go to setup, and then you can add custom information. So I can click the add button here, and I could say business size, for example. I can say that this is a drop down, and I can say 1 to 5, like 1 to 5 employees as an example, and I'll just do one more, and I can do, let's say 6 to 10, and so it goes on. So I can put all those options in, hit the save button, and now if I go to my contacts profile, at the bottom over here we've got this business size, and I can link to the profile of a user that information. Now, at the same time, just like you can link it to the user's profile and make a selection here, you can also, in your opt-in forms, checkouts, registrations, etc., you can also add that information over here. So now we have business size, and the user can now, when they're opting in, make that selection. So you can capture whatever custom information you want at the point that the person's opting in or buying or whatever, and then you can adjust your marketing according to that custom information. which will then be saved against the user's profile, and you can use it in filters for views or for emails or for whatever else. All right, that's top feature number 2. John, anything on that, or should I keep going?
Yeah, just a couple of things to mention here. So, there's some ways in which you can use this to replace something like a Google form or a Wufoo form, for example. If you're doing a call booking on Calendly, and the next page you want to collect further information about someone in the typical application form process, you could use this and create all the different custom fields that you would want, that are essentially the questions that you would ask. And then you could have that on the next page. Now, we do want you to keep in mind, this is not a fully fledged form builder. Okay, so this isn't going to replace something like Typeform yet. That's something that we're working on. As Ryan mentioned, this is the first step towards that, and we'll continue to add to that functionality over the coming weeks and months. So just don't get in there and think this isn't working like Typeform and I need to completely change this. But this will replace something like a Google form. If you're just collecting some information about someone that they can just submit and attach to their contact record, then you could do this as Ryan is showing on the screen right now. You can just have all of those questions listed. Someone would fill that out, click apply, and that would all attach itself to that person's contact record, ready for you to check through before you make that phone call. So but yeah, I just want to stress, keep that in mind. This is the first step towards that, but this is not going to replace Typeform just yet, but it would replace a simple form builder.
Right. Okay, so then the next one of my top picks, and actually all of the remaining ones I'm going to talk to you about, are in the help desk area. And I think that this is an aspect of the system. Firstly, I haven't actually put out the training on the help desk just yet. And the reason is we wanted to add quite a bit of additional functionality to the help desk before I put the training out. I'm going to be putting the training out over this week, so you're going to see a bunch of videos hitting YouTube. But for us, we have 3 core customer-facing values. And I mean, I'm pretty sure at this point, you know what those are. The first one is support, then stability, then simplicity. Those are the things that we value in that order. So support for us is number 1, because nobody really cares how good your system is if when you need help, there's no one there to help you. And that's something that I think is very often overlooked. Good support means referrals, means a sustainable long-term business. And we want our support system to be, we want our support system to be epic. I think that this is just an area that is often overlooked in terms of, it's not as sexy necessarily as funnels or as websites and landing pages and things like that, but it really, for a long-term sustainable business, being able to provide epic customer support is key. And for us, it's our number 1 value. And so when our team started dealing with all of the support with you guys and those messages started flooding in, there were many different things. Just again, going through that, the initial analogy of the turbulent waters, there were many things that we were finding quite difficult in managing support with you, that we have now really optimized and improved, in our system, because obviously we are a customer of our own product. So we use our support system to give support to you guys. And I think that if you start using this to give support to your clients, you're going to find, you're going to find that there's quite a lot that you can do. So some of you have already implemented this. So I'm just going to run through a few of the new features in particular. So the first one is forms. This was actually among the people who have started using our help desk. There were 2 highly requested features. One was channels, one was forms. Both of those have been done. So the idea with forms is that you can create different ticket submission forms, and you can add custom fields. Like here, I've added account number, for example, and you can create loads of different ticket submission forms, and you can link those to different departments. So depending on the type of question your customer is asking, you're going to collect different information. So this is a brand new feature. Before, it was subject, it was message, and you could attach files. That's it. Now, what I just showed you for contacts, the ability to create a custom field, to have drop downs and date ranges and whatever other kind of field you can imagine, that functionality is available here, so that when people log tickets, you can collect custom information from them as well to speed up the response process. Because one of the things we were struggling with, for example, was somebody would report an issue, and then we would have to go back and forth with them 5 times to say, what browser are you using? And, could you send some screenshots or whatever? And we can now just build that into the form. We can make those required fields. And when somebody goes along and actually submits a ticket, that information then is going to be required. And in fact, let me just create a ticket real quickly. So, okay, so, okay, so we'll create a ticket here. So that's the equivalent what I just did of somebody phoning in and then the staff user creating a ticket. But the bottom line is you can see over here on the bottom right that we have all of that custom information saved against the ticket. And I know that for our team, certainly we'll be able to see what browser is being used, various replication steps or whatever. And for you, you'll obviously have whatever makes sense in the context of your business. So that's custom fields and custom forms for the support system. John, anything on that? Or should I move forward?
No, keep going.
All right. Now, this next one, I think, is going to be pretty much a game changer for support. You know, support is the way that we want you guys to think about us is that we are not some third-party provider that you are asking for help. We want you to think of us as your extended team, you know, your tech team. And so to give really good support, one of the things that is essential is for us to work together as a team. And I think that the same will apply to you and your customers. And one of the things we were really battling with was having everybody follow a certain process. I'll give you a couple of examples. Most of the time, when folks submit requests, they'll have, let's say, 10 questions, and they'll stick them all in one ticket. So you have 10 questions in one ticket. Now, we've got a whole team of support people, and if everybody had created, you know, one question per ticket, our whole team could be responding to those, and you'd get really quick responses. But because you have 10 in one ticket, and maybe one of them super hard and it takes a while to get a response to that, we can't respond to everything until everything's answered. Support times are delayed. And then also the conversation that ensues is spaghetti because everybody is, you know, you're having multiple conversations essentially in one thread. So things like that, where if the community were to follow some very simple practice, they would have far better results. Another example is when the issue is resolved and we say, is your problem resolved? Folks will often say, no, it's not resolved, and then ask another question. So now there's 5 different conversations in one ticket. And then if we have to refer back to it because a feature request was asked, it's just a mess. It's basically just a complete mess, and it's very hard to manage. So we built this feature, and I'm really excited about it. Maybe it's just because we are like seriously geeking out here on support. It doesn't sound like a thing to geek out on, but you know, we're doing all sorts of crazy things. We're sending gifts to our customers, and we're just doing all sorts of crazy things to try and really level up our support. But the way Guidelines works is that you can enable this feature. So you can enable Guidelines, and then you can add a guideline like 1 question per ticket, for example, and you can explain the thinking behind that guideline. Then in the settings, you can go and there's 2 things you can do here. You can have an onboarding video, and you can then pop in a URL for an onboarding video. And what this basically does is when somebody logs their first ticket ever, a video is going to play explaining exactly what I just said. We want to work with you as a team. We want to, give you excellent support. And so this is the best way to get support. This is the best, the best way to log tickets, etc. So you can put an onboarding video in here, and that only plays the first time they log a ticket. And then you can also include onboarding guidelines. So after the person says yes, like it accepts the video, clicks next, it then goes to a list of your guidelines, which in this case would include this guideline of 1 question per ticket, and you might have 3 or 4 different guidelines. So what this is going to do, firstly, is it's going to educate the people sending requests your way and questions your way, so that they're doing it in a way that you can actually respond to efficiently and manage efficiently. Because I can promise you that we would be twice as efficient as a support team if our community followed a couple of small things. People would get faster responses, and we'd be more efficient. So that's the one thing. But the other thing, and I really like this, we would often tell people, hey, could you please remember to just submit 1 question per ticket? And then maybe a little while later, they'd forget and they'd send another 6 questions. And how do you nicely tell them, hey, just a reminder, you send 6 questions again? It feels like you're reprimanding your customers. It sucks. We didn't want to do that. So we've got this, what I think is a really cool feature here, where when you're responding to the ticket, you can flag a violation of a rule. So you can click the violation button, and you can say which item was violated. And so instead of you sending a message to the client saying, hey, please comply, which sounds a bit confrontational, it'll just offer a friendly reminder, like a little tip above when they create a ticket or when they respond to your ticket, saying, hey, just a reminder, do this thing. And it looks almost like an automated part of the system. So anyway, we've just finished this feature, going to be putting it into the wild on our system this week when this new version is released. And I'm pretty excited about that. So that's the next one that I'm excited about. Any comments on that, John, or should I run on?
Well, so for me personally, I can see so many use cases for this, and it's just awesome. I really, really like this feature. And I realized I haven't actually tested the chat box yet. So give me a yes in the chat if you can see a use case for that in your business. If you're excited by that feature, if it makes sense to you, you're getting it, you can see yourself using it. Give me a yes in the chat box. Awesome. I see Luke, Samantha, Carsten, Jan, Christina, Hannah, James. Awesome. Okay, loads of people. Fantastic. Good stuff. Yeah, so cool. For me, I love this. These are the small things that if you didn't come out to the state of the platform address, you just wouldn't know this was even here, let alone start implementing it in the business. There's loads of these things that we're dropping out. So yeah, that's cool, man. I'm ready for the next one.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to do one more in the help desk area, and then I'm going to do one that I think a lot of people are going to be very excited about. So the last one is just a small one, but one that's been highly requested, which is channels. And basically the idea here, I'm just going to add a channel quickly. The idea is that you want to not force people to go and log a ticket through your admin area or whatever. You want people to email you, and when they email you, it's going to generate tickets, and then you're going to have a back and forward with people that way. And that's what email channels are for. And basically, it's a real simple setup. And I'm going to make videos on this, but you create an email channel, we give you a system email address, and then you set up forwarding on your email account to this address. So you'll go to support@yourdomain.com and you'll just set up email forwarding to this address. And when somebody emails your email address, it forwards to this address, it performs some validations, make sure it's not spam, etc., and it creates that as a ticket. And, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but in previous webinars, etc., you guys have been emailing our support email address, but that is just an email address. It wasn't monitored. So now we are able to obviously hook that up to our support system. And whether you're emailing or, submitting support tickets directly through your admin area, they are all going to be managed from the same place. And obviously you guys will be able to do the same thing. So that is, I guess, quite a small thing and the sort of feature you'd pretty much expect to have, but we didn't have it until a couple of weeks ago. So that's that. Anything else, or can I go on to my favorite feature, John?
Yeah, keep going. All good.
Okay. So this is the last of my 7, and I'm going a little bit over time, but I'm just going to go quickly through this one. This one is a super highly requested feature, and it is community forums. Loads of people are doing programs, and they want to have a community where not a non-Facebook community where people can engage and ask questions and so on. And we wanted to build a community setup that was easy for customers to use, but also easy for you guys to administrate. Because just think about this for a moment. Let's say you have 5 different programs, and each program has a unique community, and you want people to be discussing. You've got Tube Ads Academy, and you want people there to be just discussing YouTube ads, and you've got future webinars, and you want people just to be discussing webinars. So maybe you create different community forums or different community areas for each of those programs, and then somebody adds a message. And as an administrator, there's now a new message in one of your forums on one of your membership sites somewhere, nested in a whole collection of messages. So the question we had wasn't just how to create cool communities that will allow you to replace Facebook. It is also how do we do that, but allow you to administrate those and respond to people easily. And I think we've done a pretty awesome job of that. This is the first version of this feature, where we at the moment have a forum style to it, but we are going to add in upcoming releases Facebook styles, so it looks more like a Facebook group, or like there are a number of different styles that we're going to apply to this. Right now, it's more of a like a Quora type forum style, but we're going to be adding more as time goes by. So let me show you how this works. If you go to the help desk and then you go to setup and you go down to the bottom, you'll see that we have community forums. So I'm just going to add a forum here, and I'm going to go CubeAds Academy. I'm going to give it a color. Oh, I'm going in the wrong direction here. Okay, we're just going to go with that for now. And you can say whether or not it requires moderation. And you can also put a moderation limit in here. So if somebody gets 5 posts successfully moderated, so you approve 5 in a row, their 6th post onwards won't require moderation, just to ease the pressure on you actually moderating this if necessary. So I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to go over to the website, and you can just add this as a module. So you can go in here and you can add a forum. Here we go. You can add a forum to a page, but there's a forum by default in the accounts area. So I'm going to go to account, community. And when I do that, you'll see that we have our forum, and it's called CubeAds Academy. And I think I'm logged in here as a different contact. Okay, here we go. I'm logged in as Ryan Sletcher. So I can go in here, I can create a post, I can choose which forum it's for. You can make this module only apply to one forum. If, for example, you have a program and you only want one forum or one community chat area to be available on that program. Again, this isn't a training video. I'm just showing you at a high level how it works. There will be training videos for this, so don't stress if you're, you don't have to worry about following along or anything like that. But this is my question. The person puts in their question, the person puts in their content, hits the save button, and that creates our new post. And you can see here that it's awaiting moderation. So because I logged it, I can see this post and I can respond to this post, but no one else will be able to. Then, and I think this is one of the things that makes it pretty nifty, if I go to the admin area as a staff member and I go to the help desk, you'll see that we have this item here called forum. And I can now go in here, and it's very similar to the help desk inbox. So just like you can manage all of your support tickets, whether they're coming in via email or through the admin area of your system, or however those tickets are coming in, you can manage them all here via the inbox. Same applies to the forum. So all of those posts from all of your communities distributed all over your site, those posts are all going to come into this one space. You can go into them. You can see this one's pending, so I can approve it. And so now that's going to become publicly available. I can see information related to the contact. I can respond to this. So your staff can participate in the forum, but they participate from the admin area where they can see everything that doesn't have responses, etc. And basically you can manage and facilitate the community from the central location. But your customers will obviously be able to see these as well. This post is no longer pending moderation, so some other person can come in here and add a reply to that comment or quote a reply, so you can reply to a reply, and so it goes on. And yep, so that's basically forums in a nutshell and communities in a nutshell. And I know that this is a super highly requested feature. It's been asked in our Facebook community, and I know we've got a lot of tickets about that as well. So yeah, I'm excited to be able to deliver that one to you guys as well. John, anything on that?
Yeah, was anyone on the line specifically in that category? Was any of you asking for this particular feature? Give me a number 2 in the chat box. Give me a 2 in the chat box if you were specifically one of the people asking for this feature. So Lucy, Samantha, Walter, Chris, Ferdy, Jeremy, Mark. Okay, fantastic, good stuff. So I'm actually going to ask you a question, Ryan, on behalf of the community, because obviously, you know, with these forums, you know, your plan is to build this out and essentially replace the need to have a Facebook group if you don't want to, right?
Right.
But from what I'm seeing there, we could essentially be building out a glorified FAQ section essentially, and then those replies are obviously fixed there, they'll stay there. So we could use it as a way to limit support requests from our customers as well, because they can be pointed to these threads. Is that correct?
That's correct. And the idea here is that when you search, and we haven't implemented everything just yet, but when you log a ticket, we're still busy implementing a knowledge base. When somebody logs a ticket, we'll try pay you off with an answer. But part of that, and this will probably be supported by a setting, so you can enable or disable it. But when the person logs a ticket, we can try pair that. If there's no answer in your knowledge base, we can try pair it with a forum response, and the person can click to see if the thing they're trying to find has actually been answered on the forum. So we are going to try, like, one of the key things about this feature is to, a lot of the time people asking the same questions over and over again. And a lot of the time, I think that could be eliminated if those answers were just made public. And so that's hopefully going to be something that reduces the support demand as well. And also in a more easily consumable fashion, because a Facebook group, sure, people have asked and had their questions answered before, but to search for that is impossible. So this will actually be searchable, and it'll, try connect you with an answer a lot more efficiently than something like a Facebook group. Plus, you can even charge people to gain access to these communities if you wanted, whereas that can be difficult with Facebook. If somebody is paying, let's say, a monthly amount, and they remain part of your community and then they don't pay, it's difficult to find them on Facebook and then remove them, and then they have to ask for access. Like that's a mission. Whereas here, we will be able to do things like if you're on a subscription, let's say, and your payment bounces, you lose access to the community. When you pay, it automatically gives you back access. So there's a lot of things that we can do here that you just wouldn't be able to do with a Facebook community.
Amazing. So good. And Howard just said this now totally transcends Kartra. Awesome. So
Cool.
Howard's lovely. Amazing. So everyone, listen, we've got some questions already in the chat. So I'm going to get to some of those. If you have a question for most likely Ryan, but if there is one that falls to me, I'm happy to take questions too. Obviously keeping it on topic of Funneler and where we're at with it. Let us know in the chat box. I will say, obviously, we've got over 100 people on the line, so we will not be able to get to every question. I can almost guarantee that. So the way that I'll do this is essentially get to all of the questions that I feel would be of value to the group, that isn't such a specific question that would only really be a Q&A for you personally. If there's something like that, then we might point you more towards the help desk that we have so that you can interact with our wonderful support. But if there's a question on any of this stuff that we've talked about today, let us know. Really happy to get to that. A couple of questions I saw already come in, Ryan. Someone said, thanks for breaking down the seven things that you've been working on. Are there other things behind the scenes you've been working on over the past month or so as well, but perhaps just not appropriate to share?
Well, yes, we are constant. I've already showed you kind of this list. We have another list that's a similar size of all the things that people have requested, and we are implementing. We're implementing new features all the time. The big focus that we have right now, we've been working on some really big features, but you guys have submitted hundreds of small features. And so over the next little while, there are things like being able to save an email as a template. That's something that a lot of people want. It's not a big thing for us to do. We can do it in, an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending on how we want to do it. So, things like that, rather than doing this huge feature or that huge feature where you get one massive update, what we want to do over the next little while is try and fix or add 100 or 200 smaller things. So that's kind of the main focus is on smaller things, going forward, to try and just thin the numbers and get you the solutions to the things that you've logged. And then there are other things that I would love to tell you about, but I think John would maybe not be as excited, because I get very excited about the technical stuff, and so I won't go into any technical stuff, John. I'm just going to say at a very high level that we are doing some amazing stuff with high availability. And so what this means is essentially our system is split over data centers around the world. And what this means to you is that if a meteorite were to flatten the whole of Europe, your website wouldn't go down. If another meteorite were to flatten the whole of North America, your website still would not go down. And you might think that this is, standard in our industry. It's actually not standard in our industry. Loads of the others in our space are kind of known for being offline, sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly, but we really want to focus on that. So we are creating what's called a high availability infrastructure, distributing this thing around the world. So things like that are going on behind the scenes, the technology underneath this, that's where I get super excited, and we're doing things at an insanely high level. So I'm going to stop there, but there's a lot of exciting stuff like that we do behind the scenes that I'll probably never get the opportunity to fully explain to you guys, but it's awesome. It's really awesome.
No, that's great, and I think that's good. It gives us a bit of a glimpse into the behind the scenes that we don't necessarily need to know, but we can just rest assured that you're on these things. I can tell you from the many conversations that me and Ryan have over the course of a week, there's so many small things that get fixed that is really just not. There's no need for us to share it with you now, but lots of just little areas, buttons that we could add a button that makes something easier. We could add a bit of text here that makes the user experience a bit clearer. There's loads of these things that are constantly being added, and I'm just super proud of Ryan and the team and what they're doing. It's truly amazing. Okay, so a couple of things. Liz, more of a comment than a question, but I would like to get to it. You said about the violation thing in the help desk. Maybe the word violation is pretty punchy, but as I understand it, Ryan, that's not a word that the prospect sees. That's just our internal word, but they get a much nicer message.
Oh yes, no, we would never say, warning, you violated our. No, that's definitely too harsh. The support agent would say this person's made a violation. That what the user will see is a message that just says friendly, like, I can't remember what the exact words are, but it's just like friendly reminder. And it almost looks as if you didn't specifically target them with that. It almost looks like there's just a reminder of a different random rule all the time, but it's going to specifically remind them of the thing that they've missed, and it's going to be super friendly. And we wouldn't use harsh language like that with the customers directly.
Yeah, got it. So a question has come in from, here we go, Mark. And I actually think this is quite an interesting one. He said, can we vote on that list of features? And just to extend on that question, essentially an area where we could have all the main features that have been requested and the ability for the community to upvote it or downvote it so that we can get an even more accurate view of, the features that are most requested, as opposed to just we base it on how many people ask for something. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
That's something that I do want to do, but there's a downside to that. For us to create an environment where people can up and down vote features, each feature needs to be very clearly described. So each feature would need to have a little scope document so that somebody outside of the company can come and have a look in, understand what the feature is, and therefore vote for it. And so that adds a layer of red tape and an extra layer of process. The time that and I think this is something that we are going to have to ultimately add, but we could probably fix twice the number of things if we just get in there and fix them that we would be able to if we created a process around upvoting. So I think that voting is valuable, and I think that it is something that we need to do. But at this very moment, it would be better for us to just fix twice as many things, and the thing you want is probably going to get fixed, and it will get fixed faster, without that. But that is something that is going to come, and we'll implement it probably once we exit the beta stage, because right now there's a high volume of small things. Everything is necessary. So the question is, what order do we do it in, essentially? But over the next 3 months, we're kind of going to try and just do everything. And so voting, I think, only really becomes valuable after that. And, again, it comes with the downside of slow implementation, but more strategic implementation, if that makes sense.
Yep, it does. So essentially, to summarize that, then if somebody really wants a feature, essentially it's you need to just message us and let us know, because the more requests we get for a similar feature, then the higher the priority list it goes. Would you agree with that?
Yep, that's right. And I'm not saying that we won't do voting. I think that is just a little bit premature for voting. I think voting is something that we'll implement post beta.
Yep, very good. William says, when will this new version be live for us in our accounts?
So you should start, we release a percentage every day. So we started releasing today, or we're going to start. So after this call, I think about 10% of you will get the new version. And by the end of this week, everybody will have the new version. We don't just release it to everyone, we are super conservative. So the safest way to roll out a new version is to do it a percentage of people every day. So we do 10, 20, 30, and we, increase it over a 5-day period until everyone has it.
Okay, perfect. Great. Hannah says, for the forum, is it possible to add design and branding to make it prettier?
Yes, you can. So the cool thing with Funlayer in general is that everything works with the same page designer. So there are two things I want to mention over here. The first thing is that, as I've mentioned, this is the first look and feel, and we need to have different looks as well. So this is a forum look, and we will have a Facebook look, and we're going to add a couple of different looks that you'll be able to choose from if you want to make it look like a different type of community. But beyond that, you can change all of the typography, you can change the colors of the buttons, you can show and hide different things. Also, this exists on a normal page. So if I went, for example, to my row, and I said that I want it to be 50-50, we can have the forum over here, and then we could put a sidebar here and stuff above it and below. So you can design around it, and you can update settings, like make the button round the button corners and whatever else. So there's a lot of flexibility that you have. However, you won't be able to change it from looking like a forum to looking like a Facebook group. That's a setting that we're going to have to add. So in future, you'll go into the settings here, and then you'll be able to choose from the different styles. And that, and that's how you would achieve those more complex layouts. Does that answer your question?
Yes, no, I believe so. Great stuff.
Cool.
Christina has asked a question that we already have the answer to, which I'm actually very excited about. So Christina said, question, I wish I could enter in someone's credit card information while I'm on the phone with them to close them into a client. Is that going to be a feature? So Christina, just so you know, this was something that I spoke to Ryan about very early doors, and we were talking about it. I don't know if you've heard of another software called PayFunnels, but for those of you that don't know, PayFunnels is a standalone software that really only does one thing. It creates online order forms for you to be able to essentially take what I like to call a quick payment, right? You're on the phone with someone and you need to take a payment. Well, we don't want to have to create a funnel, to create a checkout page, to design it and get it ready. We want to literally within 30 seconds, take a payment on the phone. So I asked Ryan to implement essentially a PayFunnels replacement, and we've done it inside of the system. I'm going to have Ryan in a second show you a little bit slower, but there's an area in the system which Ryan's on right now, which is invoicing, and he's going to show you in just a second. But you can have your price points already planned out. You can have high ticket price points. You can have a $10,000 product, a $15,000 product. It doesn't matter, how much it is, and you could be on the phone with someone and just select that contact record, select the product you want to build them for, open up that invoice on your browser, and literally take the payment, and it'll all take about 20 to 30 seconds. It's amazing. Do you want to give us a little quick tour, Ryan?
Sure. So just so that you know, I'm working on a dev/demo system. So I don't have all the features that you have in your production system, but I can show you some of the basics here. And okay, so let me just start over here. We go to the orders area. Then inside of orders, we go to invoices. And then you can create an invoice by clicking the add invoice button on the top right, and then you search for the contact. If it's the first time a contact is buying from you, you can add a new contact. Otherwise, you can just search for the existing contact and go from there. So I'm going to go, I've already created this invoice. And once you create the invoice, you can do two things. You can either add a product to the invoice, and there's only one product here, but you could have your programs or whatever. If your product doesn't already exist in this list, you can click the add product button to add a product, but I'm just going to select this default product. Or you could also add custom items. So you can click on the add custom item button here, and you can just have a custom item with a custom price or whatever. But 99 times out of 100, or 999 times out of 1,000, should I say, it's better to add a product, and then you can customize the price. So you add the product to your invoice, then you can click on the price. If you want, let's say you're negotiating a price with a person over the phone. This product is normally, let's say, $1,000, but the person wants to pay it in 2 payments of $600. So you can go into the price of this product. It's going to pull in automatically the settings of the product, but you can overwrite those. So you can go in here and say, it's a subscription. you want the person to pay every 1 month, and you want to limit the subscription to 1 repeat. And maybe you want the price to be, so maybe you want it to be $400 on the repeat, but the first payment you want to be $700, let's say. So you can totally customize this price, and then you can hit the save button. Now, the thing that I think you were asking about specifically was collecting the credit card details directly over the phone. And there are a couple of things I want to highlight here. Firstly, I think we do it even better than that, but we can do exactly what you've asked for, collect the credit card details directly over the phone. So over the phone, you would put in the person's billing details, billing information. For legal compliance reasons, this is necessary. Some systems allow you to do it without putting that information in, but you're going to get, with chargebacks, and there's just a collection of scenarios where that is legally problematic. So over the phone, you'd collect their basic information. Then you can do one of two things. The first thing you can do is you can send an invoice link. And the reason I can't send an invoice link right now is because I haven't set up emails or anything on the system. But you can send an invoice link, which is a payment link, which will be sent via email or via text message, depending on which one you've set up. And I've got training videos on how this works. And what will happen is when the person clicks on that link, the checkout will be populated with this product, with this pricing, with all of the user's contact or billing information, shipping information, if it's a physical product, and they'll just punch in their card details and click pay. That takes away the legal compliance problems, the PCI compliance. If you're collecting credit card details over the phone, there's a lot of legal compliance that most people just ignore. They're like, I'm not going to get checked, but it's technically illegal. Like the way that information is handled, etc., has to follow certain standards in order for you to be legally PCI compliant. So instead of doing that, you can fill out all of the other information. You click a button, it sends them a text message or an email. They click on the link, they just put in their card number, they pay. Everything else is already there. The other option exists to copy an invoice link. And so you can just copy that link and open it in an incognito window, and then just collect the credit card details directly over the phone. So they read them to you, you type them in, you click the pay button, done. I would not recommend that 9 times out of 10 because of, again, the legal compliance issues, the security issues. I wouldn't recommend that. I think that it is better to send them a text message, and then while you're on the phone, they click on it, and you say, okay, are you seeing this? They put in the number, and then they click pay. That'd be my recommendation. But the other thing that's really cool about this is once a person has paid one time, we save their card details, essentially. So the next time they pay, maybe they've come into your system because they paid a $7 payment for some small product, and now you're going to sell them on your $1,000 coaching or $10,000 coaching or whatever. Because they've already paid with you, when you click the collect payment button, you're going to see all of their payment methods. So you don't have to ask them for details over the phone after that first payment. You can say, may I bill the card ending with 4567? And they say yes, and you say great, and it just bills them. There's no requesting of card details. So especially if you have got a funnel where there's some sort of smaller payments at the beginning of that relationship, and you're doing your bigger payments, as a secondary thing, that does speed the process up. And the approach that I just described to you is going to be legally compliant, and we have got a lot of customers using it. And it in terms of conversions, so long as you don't send them an email and then hang up the phone and say, cool, pay when you want, like that's going to screw your conversions. But if you're on the phone and they get a text message and they put the details in right there and then and click save, the conversion rate should be the same whether they're reading the phone, the card details over the phone or not. So yep, that's how this feature works in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's great. And just to add one more thing. So, because we actually do have this, right? We have low ticket stuff, Christina, we have a $7, as Ryan mentioned, we do a $7 event. We have loads of traffic going through that. So oftentimes if we're on the phone with a potential client and they want to sign up, we already have a contact record for them. And there's a very high chance they've already purchased something from us. So yeah, again, as Ryan mentioned, over the phone, then taking that bigger payment is as simple as a couple of button presses. And if you end up on the phone with someone who, for whatever reason, has never bought anything from you before, and then, literally 30 seconds, you could have salespeople doing this. You could give them staff access to your system, but only access to the invoicing feature. And then of course, not access to anything else that's sensitive. And they can literally come in while they're on the phone, create a custom invoice while they're talking to the prospect. 30 seconds, it's good to go. So this was a heavily requested feature from me personally, and we're using it and loving it. It's amazing. Okay, right. So Zena, great question, and I'm actually going to address this first, Ryan, and then I'd love to get your thoughts too, because we've obviously spoken about this behind the scenes. Vina says, what is the timeline for perhaps a Calendly equivalent, a Calendly replacement inside of Funneler? The honest answer, Zena, is that's a little ways out. That's a little ways out. That is something that we would like to implement at some point in time. However, we refuse to implement it if it causes issues in other areas of the system. And what I mean by issues is the time allocation that the dev team would be putting to create that. If that compromises the level of support we can give, the stability of the system in other core areas, then it's not worth it, right? It's not worth compromising other things. And at the moment, that's a really, like, if you think about Calendly, completely separate company, that's all they do. So for us to replace it, do we think we can? Yes, actually. But is it high on the priority list right now? No. What's high on their priority list is the stuff that we're focused on right now to make sure the system continues to be as stable as it needs to be, and that you guys don't have problems as you're running your business. So so keep that in mind. Forms is something that we're still working on and will continue to. Calendly will be way out in the future. Anything to add to that, Ryan?
No, I think the key thing is just we can do Calendly, or we can do 300 of your small feature requests. And if you think about the overall impact to your business of the 300, is probably going to be a lot higher than the overall impact of Calendly, because we have Calendly. So you can just embed Calendly. You still have Calendly. It's not like you don't have Calendly. So we want to do what we do really well. And once we've gotten to a point where we've got everything just perfectly smooth sailing, then we'll look at doing stuff like Calendly. But we'll definitely add it. I want to add Calendly. I even want to do webinars. I mean, don't hold me to this, because webinars are huge, but I want to have a single, my ultimate goal is a single platform that runs your entire business. So that is where we're going long term. But right now, it's focusing on refining what we do and making sure that what we do now, we do well.
Oh, that's great. So because Ryan has said the webinar word, I do now want to manage expectations. Now, please don't start emailing in and saying when a webinar is going to be ready. That is way out in the future.
That's a monster.
Okay. Yes, we're talking. I mean, that's not going to be anytime soon. That's not going to be in the next 6 months. It's going to be a long time in the future. So, okay, what other questions have we got here? Someone says, can we add pictures and videos to the forum area?
I don't actually know. I'm going to have to check. I don't know. So basically members uploading pictures and videos directly. I haven't a clue. You maybe, yeah, you can access, yeah, I think you may be able to, but I'm not actually sure. So I think that's a support ticket question.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, all good. Sounds good. Shahab says, firstly, love all the updates. Keep them coming. This is great work. Is there currently a way to capture leads through Funneler on different sides? So like a HTML code to put on an external site, essentially embedding an opt-in form for Funneler on a WordPress site, for example. Is that even possible?
So that's not possible. I'm not certain that that's something that we necessarily want to do, although it may be. I'll have to think about it, but I'll say off the top of my head that the goal, firstly, you can obviously have a link to your landing page from your WordPress site, and so that's something that of course you can do. But because our system does websites and landing pages and everything, and I understand that there's certain things that might impede your ability to move from WordPress. Maybe you've got hundreds of blog posts or whatever, so you may not be able to do that in the short term. But because we offer all of that sort of stuff, we haven't really, and I'm not certain that we can't do it now. You can't add an HTML opt-in form to another system now. And I'm not entirely confident that that's something that we necessarily will add. But what you can do in the meantime is you can have a link through to a to your opt-in page that you build inside of Funneler. And again, with our system being an all-in-one, theoretically you shouldn't need to do that. I understand that because you have a pre-existing business with a pre-existing website that you may want to do that, but the ideal scenario would be for you to migrate your website over and have everything in one place, because the user experience that you're going to have with everything in one system instead of mishmashing stuff is going to be a lot better. And I'm not sure that it is consistent with our values. I may be wrong, and so this is just talking off the top of my head here, but building in everything that you need to use Funneler, but still mishmash everything. The whole point of Funneler is that you don't have to mishmash everything. So for us to put a big emphasis on allowing mishmashing may be a bad place for us to put the emphasis. It might be a better use of time to make it faster and easier for you to move your website onto our system, or to think like, why would you need that feature, and come up with some other way to add the functionality to our system that you don't need that integration. So I would have to think about it a lot more. I'm really just speaking off the top of my head here, but the short answer is don't have it now. Not sure we want it, but that's subject to change depending on demand and future thoughts.
Yep. No, perfect. Got it. So Leon says, do you integrate with CRMs like HubSpot, or are you planning to build a CRM? Well, the reality is we're already a CRM. I don't know if you want to speak to that, Ryan, in terms of the comparison between this and something like HubSpot or ActiveCampaign. But as far as I'm concerned, we pretty much do everything that you would do on another CRM platform. In fact, I actually think we're bigger and better because of the integration with all the other areas of the system. A lot of CRMs, you can manage the information on a contact that is on that platform in particular. So you're only really managing the things they've opted in for, the tagging system, and things that they've purchased. Oh, actually, no, not even things they've purchased if it's on a third-party system. So really just things they've opted in for and tagging. Whereas in our system, because you can see their purchase history, because you can see their contact record and all the custom fields, because you can see their help desk submissions, because you can see the forums they've participated in, I think we actually manage CRM data better than others. But do you want to elaborate on that at all, Ryan?
Right. So I think what John said sums it up. However, we do lack certain features that I think would be great. One of them is the ability to add, and this is in the pipeline. I'm just going to go over to a contact quickly. But when you, like in a CRM system, you're often, I'm on the wrong system here. Users, contacts. Okay, when you're in a CRM system, you often have a sales process and you're wanting to add comments like random comments, free-typed comments saying I phoned this person and this is what happened, and then maybe set up a follow-up date to recontact them, or things like that. We don't have that functionality. That is planned, but everything else that makes a CRM work, I think we already do, and in many cases we do better. As John said, because we have the data in one place, we can do things that most CRMs can't. So the way that I would want to do this is that the goal would be for us to have the functionality inside of our system. We wouldn't integrate with the CRM. It doesn't make sense. We do 99%, so we just have to add that extra 1%. So what would be great is over time, if you ask for the specific things that are missing. So instead of saying, hey, could you make your system more of a CRM, you'd say, hey, can you add comments to a user? And then we can add that. And with all of the specific individual requests, we would fill in whatever gaps currently exist.
Yep, very good. Awesome. Lucy says, what payment portals are integrated now, and is Molly ready?
Molly is not ready. Molly is super duper not ready, unfortunately. We've got Stripe. We added PayPal because a lot of people are asking for PayPal. Molly is, I was really hoping to have Molly done before this call, but unfortunately it's not ready. Our last release, and the one that's coming out right now, was quite a challenging one, and it put us a little bit behind schedule, so we don't have Molly online just yet. And then we have a couple of others as well, but probably not payment gateways that anyone on this call would use.
Got it. Shira, can you do me a favor? I've seen your message. Could you submit that as a help desk ticket instead? I think we'll be able to support you better on a specific one-to-one basis. I want to make sure we understand your question correctly and then give you the help you need. So could you submit that as a ticket, please? And we'll get that sorted for you. All right, fantastic. I'm also just interested, just for user research. Give me a 1 in the chat if you've heard of Molly as a payment processor before. Give me a 2 in the chat if you've never heard of Molly as a payment processor before. And give me a 3 in the chat if you're one of the number ones, but you specifically want the feature. Give me a 3 in the chat. Okay, interesting. You probably can't see this, Ryan, but we've got, I mean, an overwhelming number of 2s. So a lot of people don't know what Molly is. And I'm counting like 30 or 40 2s, and then maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are wanting Molly. So yeah, that's just helpful to see. That's just interesting to see. Okay, great.
I think Molly is pretty popular in the Netherlands. So people who are trading in the Netherlands, I think, need Molly desperately. But if you're not trading in the Netherlands, you might not have ever heard of it.
Yeah, got it. Makes sense. Mark says, Ryan, what tutorial playlists can we expect in the next little while?
So the next main one that I'm going to release is on the help desk. As I said, I was busy putting all of these videos out. I got to help desk. I started making the videos and I was like, oof, it'd be nice to have forums. Oh, it would be super nice to have channels, and oh man, guidelines would be epic. And I just stopped and I said, let me just do all of this and then do the playlist. So that's actually going to be the next playlist. And then the one after that is going to be users, because again, quite a bit of the functionality inside of users we've just added, beyond just what I've showed you here. We've added quite a lot of functionality to the users area. And so I didn't want to make the videos until that was done. So I think help desk is going to be next, then users. And then we might go, then it's going to be demand based, because some of the other stuff, we might do something on localization. So running multi-currency websites, and maybe some stuff on integrations, because a lot of people have, but this is more specialized, multi-language and multi-currency, and like integrations with single sign-ons and webhooks and so on. That's going to be for a smaller collection of people. So I'm leaving that till absolutely last. And the only 2 sections I haven't actually created videos on outside of those really technical spaces are the users and help desk. So those will be the next 2 to come.
Got it. Perfect. So bear with me, everyone. There's a lot of questions coming in. So as I mentioned, I won't be able to get to all of these. So if we get to the end of the call and I haven't gotten to yours, and it is a pressing issue and question for you, then of course, submit a ticket and we'll get to that for you. Steve says, so just so I can understand this, so the Funneler application form builder is a few months off then. And you said I've integrated the free version of Jotform for now. Well, firstly, the free version of Jotform sounds like a nice workaround. You might also find our custom fields to be useful, and maybe you can put those to work. I don't want to put a timeline on a form builder, but it's really difficult to say. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it's also not going to be 2024. So it's in the works. It's on the table. We're working on it. But as you can imagine, we want to do it really, really well, right? If we're going to launch it like we do everything else, we want it to be something that truly does replace Typeform, not just give you a couple of, silly features that, you can or can't make use of. So bear with us on that, but we've got something coming in the meantime. You will need to integrate something else into the system to be able to do forms if you need some really sophisticated functionality.
We are going to do forms at a very high level. Our goal is not to just give you a Typeforms alternative. Our goal is to give you something better than Typeforms. So we've already got all the mockups and so on. All the designs are in progress, and we're busy debating that. And when it comes, it's going to be awesome, and it's a very high priority. But it's going to, because it's such a big feature, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be focusing on the 300 smaller things that you guys have requested before really focusing on it. But we are kind of potting away on that as well in the background.
Got it. Very cool. So I'm not sure if this question is too big for us to look at now, Ryan. So if you would rather do this off this call and assist this particular person, we can do it that way too. But Howard says blog templates. are we going to have the ability to essentially design a blog one time and then just insert a new article? So we're only having to just write an article, get it submitted, a bit like a WordPress blog would work. So that we can already do that, I know, but is it too big to explain that and show that right now, or what do you think?
Well, it may be a little bit firstly, I'll say that we can already do what you've asked. You can already design your blog once and then just add your post to it. And so you'll add your post by going on the left-hand side over here down to blog, and then you can literally just add your posts and they will automatically appear on your website in the blog section that you've set up. And you can design that blog section however you see fit. You can distribute the blog over multiple pages on your website. You can just have one blog page. You can do a bunch of different things, and I've got an entire playlist dedicated to that in the tutorials area. So if you go to our YouTube tutorials, you go to the playlists and you have a look at one of them here is called blog, I think. Yep, here we go, blog. I've got 5 videos going over the blog that'll show you exactly how to set that up.
Okay, perfect. Great. Ender says, will there be integrations with external systems via Zapier? Yeah, we already integrate with, or you can already use Zapier with Funneler, Ender, so that's already in place. So if an application plays ball with Zapier, then most likely it plays ball with us. So as Ryan is demonstrating now.
Right. So I'll probably need to make some videos on Zapier. We haven't got any current Zapier videos, but John and his team have put together some videos that cover the basics of Zapier, but I might make a playlist dedicated to Zapier.
Yeah, perfect. That'd be great. Okay. Let's have a look here. Okay, so Mark says this is more just practical. Can we have a list of updates when the software gets released so we know what to look for and what the new stuff is every time a new version is released?
That kind of falls into the onerous category. Like I want to give it to you, but because of how much we're doing and for us to prepare a release and then to summarize those in human legible terms, because of the speed at which we are currently deploying things, we can't do that now. And it's very similar to the upvote, downvote. You know, it's right now we need to dedicate our time to actually releasing the new versions. And what I will do is when we do new releases, just do like an informal post on either our community, because we've actually added a community here that you'll be able to, you'll see that. So I'll post something maybe here and on the Facebook community as well, giving you an idea of what we've done. But we basically just won't have the capacity to have a full proper release notes feature that we manage right now, but definitely something that we can add post once we move out of the beta stage.
Got it. Yep, very good. So this is actually a great question, and it's a big question, and it's something that myself and Ryan might both have thoughts on. And I would like to go first, just to share my experience from a marketing perspective. So Gary says, no, sorry, not Gary. Who was it that asked this? Lucy. What about an integration with Webinar Jam instead of using Zapier? So this was a heavily requested feature, the ability to integrate directly with Webinar Jam instead of needing to zap that information back in, or whatever the case may be. And the reality is, me and Ryan had many back and forth Zoom calls over this. We've actually spent hours looking at this, talking about this, looking at options. And the conclusion that we've come to is that it's actually not really needed. There isn't a great level of benefit to this for the amount, the sheer volume of work that it would take. And it would compromise other areas of the system for us to spend a disproportionate amount of time working on this. So allow me to explain. EverWebinar and Webinar Jam, they already have a pretty sophisticated way of integrating with a third-party platform. So there are ways for you to build a funneler page and put your EverWebinar button on the page. So essentially you would not have a funneler opt-in form, and you wouldn't have a funneler opt-in submit button, but rather you would you would create your EverWebinar campaign, and then you would go to their embed features, their integration features, and they'll have a button, and you can just put that on your funneler page and you're good to go. Like literally, you're good to go. And then that person clicks that button, it opens up their EverWebinar, they register. Excuse me if you can hear that background noise. I've got a train going past my window. And so then that lead goes into the EverWebinar campaign. They registered, they go through the process, and then you just use Zapier to just zap that contact back over. There's also ways for us to, well, there's a couple of others actually. There's a way to have a pop-up at the bottom of your page. There's a way to have a bar at the bottom. There's loads of different ways you can already do it. And it's actually pretty good. And so when we were looking at this, we're thinking there's only really one extra thing that we would need to do if we were to build an integration, and that would be have a funneler specific pop-up window on a funneler specific opt-in form, and when someone submits that form, the lead goes into funneler and the lead also goes over to EverWebinar. And it might seem like a simple thing, but it's actually really, really challenging. And it would have taken, as I've already mentioned, a disproportionate amount of time, and other areas of the system would suffer. So it is far simpler to just integrate Zapier and away we go. Do you have anything to add on that, Ryan? Because I know for you, it was just such a monstrous task. And
Right.
if I can add one more thing, it kind of showed us why other platforms don't do it. There's like, apart from Kartra and EverWebinar working together because they're sister companies, right? So they share all the same stuff. Every other funnel builder cannot do this, and it doesn't do this. And we have now realized why, because it's just monumental.
Right. So there's two directions that the integration goes. Firstly, somebody opts in and then that contact is added to EverWebinar or Webinar Jam. And then the second step is for that contact from EverWebinar or Webinar Jam to be pushed back to the funneler system, to the original system. So the two ways we could do this are either we have our own opt-in form, as John said, and when somebody opts in, it adds them to both at the same time. It adds them to Webinar Jam and it also adds them to Funneler. So that's the one option. And that is, I'm not even entirely certain that it's possible based on the feedback I've gotten from the EverWebinar, Webinar Jam support team. So I don't even know if that one's possible. The other option, or the other way to do it, is to have somebody just opt directly into Webinar Jam and then for Webinar Jam to push that information back to us. So in terms, as what John was describing, is how easy it is to get somebody to opt in on our system and have them added to Webinar Jam. Webinar Jam gives you a little bit of HTML that you add to a page, somebody clicks it, they opt in, it sends them to Webinar Jam, easy peasy. I mean, that's really simple. The only time you use Zapier is to then have that contact in Webinar Jam pushed back to Funneler. And to eliminate Zapier there, we can't integrate with Webinar Jam. Webinar Jam has to integrate with us. Webinar Jam needs to add something on their system that says when a contact gets added inside of their database, push that through to us. And there's nothing we can do about that. We can't, they don't allow us to go and pull that information out of their system. So they have to build an integration with us, and they, like us, prioritize based on demand. So if you want that feature, you can go and submit a support ticket with Webinar Jam or EverWebinar saying, hey, please integrate with Funneler. And if enough of us pester them, I'm sure at some point I'll get a message and we can eliminate the Zapier component from that.
That's very good. Yeah, I forgot that final piece. Yes, exactly. So for us to get that contact back, we basically need all of you to make a song and dance. Like if every single one of you that are using, I mean, let me know in the chat right now. Give me a number one if you have a Webinar Jam or EverWebinar account. Just type a one in the chat right now real quick.
Webinar Jam support's going to love us.
Yeah, but this is the only way it's going to work. So we got, okay, Grez, I'm seeing like 20.
Annoy them into integration.
Well, because the reality is, and I just want to emphasize what Ryan just said, you know, for them to build an integration on their side at their expense, they need to know that their users want it. And if they know enough of their users want it, they'll do it. So there's quite a number of you on the line right now. So the best thing that you can do is maybe spread it over the next few days and weeks. Don't all do it in one go because it'll seem like it was a spam planned attack. But maybe just over the coming days and weeks, just submit a message, put the funneler name on their radar, because the more of you that do it, the more they'll likely create that integration, and then we're good to go. So All right, wonderful. Ryan, if you wouldn't mind, stop the screen sharing at this point, because we are at a time. We're at the 90-minute mark. That has gone so fast. So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to finish up now. There's a few other questions that came into the chat, but I'm aware that they are quite specific and something that's more just a need of yours. So I would request that you submit a support ticket, and then we will help you. But just go ahead and give me a quick yes in the chat box, and or a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the call, you're excited about the new features, excited about where we're going. I see a few thumbs. Those that I don't see, I'm sure, are typing away. There we go. I see loads of yeses coming in. Fantastic. It's a pleasure, truly a pleasure serving you. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're putting the production of Funneler over profit. We really are. We are sacrificing revenue right now. We're sacrificing relaunching right now, because we are dead set on making this the best dang funnel builder and business solution on the planet. And you're on the journey with us, which is awesome. So we appreciate you all very, very much. Anything you need, you know where to find us. And we'll see you next month for the State of the Platform address for July. All right. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll speak to you soon.
Cool. Cheers, everyone.